Welcome to the Everything Embodiment podcast, where I will help you find peace, understanding, and love all within your human body, enhancing your mind-body connection through the exploration of vast ideas, concepts, and modalities, discussions all meant to propel you along your own unique spiritual journey. I'm your host, Amber Miller. Welcome back to another week of Everything Embodiment. I'm your host, Amber Miller. I'm grateful to be here today and excited to talk. It's a solo talk today, no guests this week, but I do have more guests coming up, so stay tuned. Somehow we are halfway through January already, and if you're anything like me, January is for redefining our manifestations for the year. I like to do it seasonally. I was lucky enough I got to participate in an online vision board party. TikTok user Becky from Lizzie McGuire, and that's Becky, B-E-K-Y, shout out to her. She made a post. She had planned this vision board making party and it didn't work out the way she had hoped. Girl went viral on TikTok. Her video is currently at 1.3 million views and she's been interviewed by major news outlets. Just completely affirming that the universe always has our back. Sometimes the no's are redirections for our own good. Rejection can be protection. So anyway, instead of having this small, intimate gathering, she was able to host an online vision board party. There was well over 100 people, I think over 130 people in attendance, and I was one of them. I got to chit chat with her a little bit. Go check her out. Amazing content. It was during her party, though, I couldn't help but notice a reoccurring theme of some of the attendants. They were crystal clear on what they wanted, but they haven't been able to pull it in or hang on to it when they had it. My inner voice was just screaming, these people need to know about their limiting beliefs, their subconscious thoughts. We need to reprogram these thoughts to clear the space to pull in what they are wishing to manifest. I know from my own real life experience that I can be doing all the manifestation work, but if you don't do the subconscious work, you are still going to block yourself. It was after years of realizing, man, I can manifest material objects easily, but the two things I am just having a hard time with is hanging on to money, raising my energetic set point for money, and my issues surrounding weight loss. Everything else, kids, job, got it. House, got it. Once it became apparent to me that I had money blocks, legitimate money blocks, I was more determined than ever to heal this. I was ready to rewrite the story. So using my knowledge of the Akashic Record and my awareness of how subconscious thoughts work, which in summary is most of our subconscious beliefs are created by the time we're 8 years old. I've talked about it on other podcasts, but until you take the time to sit with the subconscious programming and limiting beliefs, they're going to stay there. So personally, I did some meditating utilizing access to my own Akashic records, and I was able to pull up these memories. There's no way I would have ever remembered them if I hadn't intentionally done this meditation. So it was really going to this vision board party that made me realize I need to create this content and give it to the world because my job is to help heal and bring awareness. So I honestly couldn't be more excited to announce I'm launching the program Release, Receive. Take the steps to transform your life with my program Release, Receive, a soul-centered program designed to help you identify and release limiting beliefs and negative patterns while opening yourself to abundance, clarity, and alignment. It's rooted in intuitive guidance, energy work, and spiritual practices. This program empowers you to shed what no longer serves you and embrace your highest potential, putting you in energetic alignment to call in your manifestations faster and to facilitate soul healing. You guys, this is only going to take you 10 minutes to read and probably 10 more minutes to carry it out, and you can apply the techniques learned in this program through every area of limiting belief that you could have. This is a step-by-step outline for what I do in my private sessions. I still am offering the private sessions. You can book on my website, everythingembodiment.com. You can even still check out the old website, emeraldoakenergy.com. Each one will route you to where you need to be. If you're an absolute beginner, I definitely would suggest doing a session with me. But if you're familiar with meditation, if you're familiar with doing the inner child work, and if you're just realizing that you seem to have a block in your manifestations, check out this program. I'm going to share with you exactly what happened with me and healing my money wound. And I know my money wound is healed, and I will tell you how I know right now. I grew up, we weren't poor, but my mom really, really visually stressed about money. She had her little notebook that she would do all her little bills in, and she'd just have this really serious look on her face when she would pull that notebook out. Demeanor, everything would change, and it was very negative. Also, when I was 19 or 20 years old, I moved across the country from Wisconsin to California with $300 in my pocket. Like, that would never work now. And I was poor. I always had a job, and I always somehow got by, but I was so poor. I was honestly like one unexpected bill away from being homeless. I don't like to dwell on the past. I am just sharing so you guys can see where I'm coming from. There was weeks I had no money. I worked for an animal hospital, and I would take food that was provided by the hospital for the veterinarians. I would eat that food so I didn't have to buy groceries. I knew where to get gas that it wouldn't hit my account for at least a day, so I could float. If I had no money in my account, I could still get gas. I knew exactly how long it could be to be late on a bill before it would hit your credit. You guys get the picture. So that was almost 20 years ago, living that way, living paycheck to paycheck life, always stressed out about money, knowing I didn't have anyone I could ask for help. My parents were not the type of parents I could call up and be crying and ask for $20 and they send it. No, my parents were not that way. In fact, I did call crying about 6 months after moving to California, and I just wanted to go home. I was lonely. I didn't know anybody. I was broke, and my mom wouldn't help me fly home, and I was too poor. I couldn't afford a ticket to fly home. That was like $500. I didn't have that. So I was forced to stay, and look how it all worked out. So knowing the surface of my money wounds, they were real. Fortunately, that was the past, and it stays in the past. But I still had that like pit in my stomach feeling every time I would check my bank account. Whether it was back then and I literally had less than $1 in my account, or now when I have actual money in my account, no matter how much is in there, I still would have that pit in my feeling, anxious feeling, every time I went to log into my bank account to see what my balance was. In addition to that, I realized I'm good at calling in quick cash. I'm the queen of, oh my gosh, I need $2,000. Boom, manifested. I can do that. But then a bill comes up that costs $2,000. So there's all these patterns that I had a legit money wound. So I did all the visualization techniques to change the energetic set point of my money. You can, if you're not familiar with that concept, look it up. I believe in it. So I'm doing all the work to raise this energetic set point, but I'm not seeing it reflected in real life that it's working. So then finally, I must have heard a podcast talking about the subconscious mind, and like a light bulb, I was like, okay, I know that if I can remember seeing my mom frustrated every time she pulled that book out, her little notebook to do bills, there's got to be some subconscious programming in there. So I got myself in the meditative state, everything that's outlined in my programmed release, receive, and vivid memories started being revealed. They were emotions and thoughts that felt so familiar, but it's stuff I never would have remembered on my own. So I got more curious, and I wanted to go back further and further in time. And finally, I got to the point, what was the first time I felt negative energy about money? And at this point, I'm in my Akashic records, which everyone has access to their own. And I was immediately shown in my mind's eye my mom finding out she was pregnant with me and just immediately panicking about how are we going to pay for this. Me and my older brother, we are about 15 months apart. So this does track that my mom would have panicked a little bit. And while in this meditation with my Akashic Records, I was feeling all those feelings that my mom must have felt when she found out she was pregnant unexpectedly. I know it sounds wild, but don't judge it, just go with it. So I really sat with everything that was being presented. I journaled on it and was able to kind of reprogram these events to more positive understanding, really shedding any fear and removing that old way of thinking and replacing it with the enlightened version of it. So then when I'm done, I'm like, okay, I'm healed. No, kidding. So I just thought, okay, that was a really transformative experience. I'm just going to keep note on how I feel over the next, few days. It wasn't immediate. It was probably like the third or fourth time after that of checking my bank account. And I don't excessively check my bank account. So some time had passed. I check every couple days just to make sure there's nothing fraudulent going on. And I realized one day I don't have that pit in my stomach feeling anymore. That is when I celebrated. That was when I was like, I am cured. I reprogrammed the belief I'm cured. Well, the universe doesn't exactly work like that, though I had healed myself. So cue in the universe with their dramatic testing. Out of nowhere, my furnace needs to be replaced in my home. And when they were giving me the estimate for that, they mentioned you might want to think about replacing your AC at the same time. This 100% would have thrown old me into a spiral. Even being positive, my initial knee-jerk reaction would have been, how are we going to pay for this? I stayed so calm. I'm so proud of myself. I stayed really unattached and just thought, okay, we need a new heater. We might need a new AC. We'll figure it out. I even kept telling myself, God's got me. God's got me. If there was a moment of doubt creeping in, God's got me. God's got me. God's got me. So I put this number in my head. I want to pay $10,000 or less. Quote comes in at almost $17,000 for everything that needed to be done. And we needed some duct work done. Our house is from the 90s. And even when they said $17,000, I'm like, okay, God's got me. We got this. I did mindfully, without emotion, question, was I really healed? Is this a test from the universe, or is this the universe showing me that I still have more work to do? Stayed calm. God's got me. God's got me. The next day at work, I was telling my coworkers the situation, and I had a friend who very casually said, here's who I used. It was pre-COVID, but it was a lot cheaper. Maybe give them a call. So I went to their website, and they don't service the town that I'm in. It cuts off on the map. But something told me to give them a call. So I called, and they do service my town, even though their website says they don't. So I'm chit-chatting with the owner. He's able to get me in for an estimate same day. Time was somewhat of the essence because I had agreed to replacing the heater with the first company that gave me the estimate because they were able to squeeze me in on Monday. This was Friday. Now it's Saturday. I'm at work. And it's winter. It's January. We have no heat. I have 2 little kids. I needed this heater replaced. But they said I had till Saturday evening to accept the estimate and make that decision if I needed the AC replaced. So anyway, back to the other guy. They can fit me in for an estimate. Second company's estimate was thousands cheaper. It was almost alarming how much cheaper it was. But here I am. I have friends at work saying that they used the company and they had a great experience. Went on Reddit, Yelp, checked it all out. They all had way more positive reviews of them being an honest company over the other company that I was going to use. I felt it in my gut. I went ahead. I booked it with them, canceled the other people. And then I celebrated again. I was like, it was a test from the universe. I passed. My money wounds are healed. It gets even better. The gentleman told me that I'll be able to use a portion of this on my taxes next year. And then my husband was telling his mom about it, not asking for help, but just in a here's what's going on today way. And she, without asking, offered to help us with the expense affirming that I'm not alone, which is something that needed to be healed within myself because I never felt that I could have support or would have help in an emergency. And when I asked to pay $10,000 or something better, this put me way under that threshold when less than 24 hours before, I was thinking I was paying $17,000. Something else that stood out while I was going through the process is it's the middle of January, and while my heater wasn't working, it was sunny and 60. I do live in California, but it does rain and get cold here. So no rain, and it's been raining for the last month, I swear, and in the 60s. So my house never even got that cold. We didn't have to go to a hotel. The whole thing, I felt very blessed. And to back it all up to the heater even breaking down, I had a crack in the back of it and it was leaking gas. So our house could have burnt down from this 1990 heater that was leaking gas. Because my money wounds were healed, I just was able to stay in a state of gratitude, knowing my family's safe and God's got me. I know if I would have spiraled, this story would have had a much different outcome. Do I think my house would have burst into flames? Maybe, but I know I would have spent a lot more money affirming this money block. And I just want to be perfectly clear, there's no spiritual bypassing here at all. There's avoiding reality, blasting myself with positive affirmations. There was a real awareness of the severity of the safety risk and that danger was truly avoided. And there's no denying that it is a large sum of money. I just never lost the awareness that I'm good. God's got me. You guys, I can't wait for you to heal your own subconscious blocks. Check out my website, Everything Embodiment. Find the new program. It's launching today. Release, receive. As always, if you like the podcast, please rate and review. I love putting these out. I love providing information. I have so many exciting interviews coming up, and it's just amazing content to share with you guys. My intention is just to be this all-in-one resource for those on their spiritual healing journeys. The ratings and the reviews are really what keeps this podcast showing up. Thank you guys. And please check out the show notes. I'm gonna tag my new manifestation bestie, Becky from Lizzie McGuire. You guys, she's built the most amazing supportive community. Please check her out. I'll tag her in the show notes. I'll see you all in the next episode.